Well, about 7,000 miles away, Kabul, Afghanistan is in complete turmoil. Late Sunday, the Afghani government collapsed as heavily armed Taliban fighters took the capital city. As all of this is unfolding, thousands of people are trying to get out of the country, and for many, it's a matter of life and death. Those who helped U.S. soldiers and interests are vulnerable now to retaliation. This is a war that has lasted decades. In fact, for an entire generation of Americans, our military has been defined by what's happened in Afghanistan. Over those years, as a matter of safety, refuge, the state of Idaho has become home to several hundred Afghani refugees. For those families, those scenes we've all been watching for the past 24 hours are hitting a bit too close to home. For perspective and insight on the humanitarian crisis in Afghanistan, Joe Paris spoke with the International Rescue Committee's Boise team. They say, to put it mildly, the situation in Afghanistan is extremely concerning.
Thousands of people across Afghanistan are trying to flee the country as the Taliban continues a violent takeover. Civilians are caught in the middle of brutal violence as international aid groups do their best to get resources into the country.
So the IRC in Boise and the IRC in general is providing aid in Afghanistan in whatever ways we can.
Georgette Siqueiros is the Development and Community Engagement Manager with the International Rescue Committee's Boise office. Of course, the IRC helps people with refugee status escape dangerous situations around the world, but they also work to aid those who worked alongside Americans with special immigrant visas for Afghans program.
Special immigrant visas protect people who have worked with the military in the U.S. in Afghanistan. So we offer protection for them. And, many times families are able to come to the U.S. under that legal status.
In recent days and weeks, the IRC Boise office is mobilized to offer support and refuge for those people.
We do actually have one staff member on a temporary assignment currently welcoming some evacuees from Afghanistan right now. We're really happy that our office could be a part of that effort and that the IRC at large is able to do that.
Siqueiros says they want to help as many people in need as possible, but the reality of the situation in Afghanistan is very serious and difficult to navigate.
Currently, we aren't seeing too many families just because it's really difficult to get out of Afghanistan as like everyone is seeing right now.
Since the year 2000, the state of Idaho has welcomed 844 people as refugees from Afghanistan. Right now, the Idaho Afghan community can only watch as heartbreaking images pour out of the country.
It's been so hard on everyone, and of course the burden falls hardest on those who still have family and friends in Afghanistan who are trying to get out. Over the past few weeks and certainly the past couple of days, it just feels more and more hopeless. Unfortunately, we're seeing just a really serious situation, and of course, we're doing what we can.
In Boise and beyond, the IRC is working on a $10 million campaign to raise much-needed funds for emergency response in Afghanistan. Like other aid groups, the IRC says that the aid money is needed to ensure that their teams can continue to deliver life-saving aid in areas of conflict, as well as to provide emergency cash assistance and protection services for people in the volatile capital of Kabul. Still, though, the reality right now is bleak.
What's so worrisome here is that, flights are being canceled, that it's really hard to get any flights out, that we don't know what the next few days will look like. So it's looking particularly, difficult at this moment.
For now, hope and prayer is what many in the Afghan community are looking to.
We're hoping that families are able to get out, that families are able to find some safety, and that, just looking for hope wherever we can find it right now.
All right, Joe, seems like a pretty difficult situation to get in there and offer help to anybody, but how can people help if they want to?
Yeah, there's a lot of organizations like the IRC, Brian, that are really driving home the point. The best way to help in situations like this oftentimes is to donate. The IRC will show you right now, they're actually, as their $10 million campaign continues, they are calling for some local donations. Sometimes the best way to help is to give money to the organizations like the IRC that are able to get that money to the people that need it most, or to use that money for resources. The IRC also telling me earlier today that a great way to really investigate and look into this situation is to read up on it and to learn about what's going on in Afghanistan and really the historical context of what's going on right now, so that you can have these educated conversations with members of our community. Of course, if you're able to connect with members of our community that are refugees, whether they're from Afghanistan or anyone in the Middle East, it's really great to reach out to those types of people during these situations, because they are having very difficult conversations at home as they watch newscasts like ours. And Brian, frankly, they see images that are very tough to watch on their televisions, watching people that could be their former neighbors, their friends and family, trying to flee a country that they do know and love. Again, we're going to have some links on our website, ktvb.com, on this story to the IRC, and you could read up a little bit more on this topic. And again, that money is going to go to the people that need it most. Frankly, though, they are having a hard time getting aid in and out of Afghanistan right now, so they are unsure what the coming days are going to look like. The best thing they can do, though, is they get those donations from the people that can afford it.
Not only is it difficult getting in and out of the country right now, there's a lot of emotions out there that are really raw. I know we got this text message from Joe earlier, right before the show. It says, back in my 20s while serving in the Navy, I found it hard to deal with the way the U.S. pulled out of Vietnam. Now, a veteran in my 60s, I'm witnessing the same type of situation repeat itself. The politicians are trying to place blame anywhere but on themselves. Time for them to suck it up and own what they have done, says Joe in Nampa. And you've spoken to several veterans of Afghanistan specifically today, none of which kind of really wanted to go on camera and talk to you about it. But what are they feeling today?
This is an extremely difficult situation, Brian, for members of the Idaho veteran community, or really any veterans that have ever been in Afghanistan. The conversations I had today, Brian, really detailed around people saying we were there. We lost our friends. Our lives were altered. Many of our friends were injured, even if they did make it back. There's the mental toll that the war in Afghanistan took on so many of our young men and women. And frankly, when you see the situation unfolding in Afghanistan, people trying to flee the country, you're watching the Taliban violently come into Afghanistan's capital and take over. They tell me this afternoon, Joe, it feels like we didn't accomplish anything, and everything we did in Afghanistan and the friends we lost, it was all for nothing when you see the end result on the 5 o'clock news. And frankly, a lot of the veterans I spoke with didn't want to talk about it because it hurts. These are fresh wounds for a lot of men and women that haven't talked about it in 15 or 20 years. And again, when you see the context of this entire situation unfolding, where we did send thousands and thousands of Americans into Afghanistan from 2001 until currently, and you see what the end result is. It is frustrating for many Americans and veterans, regardless of political affiliation.
Fresh wounds, but as you heard or saw Joe said, and old wounds as well, because a lot of people watching the situation in Kabul right now and saying, this looks like the fall of Saigon a generation ago, 2 generations ago at this point. All right, thank you very much, Joe.